From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Urban Outlook.
Hello and welcome to Urban Outlook, and happy holidays, I should say. You see, I've got some terrific people beside me, some familiar faces. This is the time of year where people slow down, where they think about their families, where they try to make sure that they breathe a little bit, especially with everything that's going on in the world. Even though we've got natural disasters that are happening, dare I say it, we've got the political climate that's still being discussed and talked about. But this is the time to celebrate, to say happy holidays to people, and to also talk a little bit about the things that you do within your families to celebrate. So thank you all for joining me, all very familiar faces. There's Leland Statham over there, our meteorologist on the 5 side, and the Talk of the Town host. Of course, Tawanda Coleman is here, our Talk of the Town host and longtime producer of Todd as well. And Jonquil Newland, my favorite reporter on Channel 5. I shouldn't tell everybody that. She's my favorite reporter. But thank you all so much for being with us. We're starting a little bit of a tradition, I think, because we did this last year and thought we would welcome you all back and do it again. And as I said, there's so many things that are going on in the world. So when you slow down and you think about this time of year, what goes through your mind? What do you think about focusing on? I'll toss that out to anybody.
Okay, well, I'll start.
Okay.
I just think about being with family and spending time with family, whether we're giving gifts or we're just sitting around talking and reflecting on past Christmases and past memories. It's just a time for me to celebrate life and family.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's so much going on, whether it's from a work standpoint, and because of what we deal with here at the station, we're kind of first-hand viewers of all the things, good and bad, happening in our world today. But this time of the year gives us a chance to kind of reflect and realize what is truly important when everything else is done.
Jonquil, your thoughts?
Well, not only that, obviously reflecting on this past year, lots of things have happened, but also how we as a family can move forward in the next year. I know, April, you mentioned obviously the political season. I don't know if it was just me, but I know at my Thanksgiving table last week it got brought up, as I knew it would. But you're also, I mean, at least in my family, around a lot of like-minded people, so the conversation wasn't so turmoil. No, I guess,
yeah. It's interesting because you all also, and Leland talked about it, your schedule is such where you're going 24/7, right? There's not really a break. If you have a break, you're still sort of hooked to the news cycle.
Exactly,
So how do you relax and really slow down and focus on those things that matter this time of year when you know, as journalists, that you still have to know what's going on in the world?
Sometimes I think you just have to put a big X in the calendar, and on the days that you're off, those are your days, or at our house sometimes pajama days. So we don't get out of pajamas all day. And then also too, sometimes I've got this right here because I'm in contact with a couple of folks, but sometimes even have to put this aside because that's the other thing that's different with journalists today. Before you did the news morning, 6, 10, midday, and you were done when you left. Now you're always on because we all have our social media accounts, and so people can reach out to us 24/7, and so sometimes we even have to just kind of put that away and say, all right, I'm not going to check this for a little while.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It sure is.
I think Leland touched on a big thing, especially with reporters. We have our not only one device, but probably 2 iPhones and an iPad. And literally, like when I get off work, I make it a point to put that down unless I get a call from someone I know I need to answer. I don't try to look at it for a little bit. You know, it's like when I leave work, I hopefully clock out for the rest of the 24-hour period. But sometimes it doesn't work like that. But yeah, no, Leland has a good point with the devices for sure.
That's great.
And that's ditto for me as well as what both of them said. Sometimes I just have to turn off the television, put away the phone and the iPads, and just not be so engrossed in news. Because we're all kind of newsies. We're all kind of news junkies. It's our job. It's our profession. We love watching and keeping up to date on what's going on. But sometimes in order to turn off our brains and just to spend time with family and relax, you have to turn that off and put it away.
That's interesting though, because as Jonquil said, for Thanksgiving holiday, you were trying to do that, turning off the brain.
You know, but I knew it got brought up. I knew it was going to happen, and people like, we're looking at me, well, John, what do you think? I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about this right now. And I really do. I'm like, I'm not. And we changed the whole entire course of the conversation because I'm like, literally, guys, I mean, you understand. I just need a break.
Because everybody wants to know what you think as a journalist.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you had some great food, I'm sure, at the table, so that always helps to have a nice conversation around food. So dig in if you want to. And as we're looking at what we have here, a nice little spread that our producer Mary Elena Ramos put together for us. But do you have any traditional things that you often serve at the table this time of year?
You know, for Thanksgiving, I made Cornish hens because
instead
it's
of
just
turkey.
exactly it's just me and my husband, and so they're just like individual little servings, and you got your individual little servings of bird there that you can do all the trimmings with. And I've actually gotten pretty good at cooking.
Nice.
So he didn't totally hate them.
But you knew how to cook before, Charles, didn't you?
April, no.
Really?
No.
That's my girl, Tawanda. That's my girl.
Having been married almost 5 years now, I've gotten a chance to practice.
Okay.
And so I've gotten better. And I did the whole trimmings. I did everything but a turkey.
Excellent.
So that's one of the and then we also have chitlins.
Ooh,
That's
Yeah, we have a thing of chitlins this year.
Yes.
You cook them?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow.
Like clean and cook.
I grew up with my mom standing
you
over the
know
sink
how to
cleaning
do
them,
this.
so I know how to do
Because
that.
you can't eat everybody's chitlins.
No, you cannot.
I only eat my chitlins.
Can't eat it.
Great to eat. You just don't want to be in the house when they're cooking.
That's right.
Well, you got to bring us some. Next time you cook a batch,
I will.
Yeah, because my wife is not going to make any for me.
Oh, really? So you don't eat chitlins?
No.
Oh, wow.
The only one in my family, the immediate family that will eat them is me. Now, when I go home to West Tennessee,
everybody.
everybody does them. But no, immediate family, it's just me. And in Yolanda's family, her dad eats them. Her mom does not.
Oh, wow. You eat them, April?
No, I don't.
Oh, wow.
I don't. But my grandmother and everybody in the family does.
Okay.
My mom too.
Yeah.
Pig's feet, chitlins.
Yeah.
All those traditional things. I don't know how to cook them, and I don't eat them. And that's probably because I was in the kitchen when Grandma was cleaning and cooking them.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're a kid, you just
get
sort of,
scarred by those
You
things.
can get scarred. Yeah.
What is that?
Right. And it's so what?
And you're doing what to it?
And even though I've grown up knowing now what they are and the tradition behind them and how we ended up as African Americans eating things that others thought were not things that should be eaten, right? It still has not sort of motivated me to taste and try. But if you make some, I might try them.
I'll make a little, bring in just a little bit for you.
Okay.
And I clean them really well. I go over them.
That's
My
the
mom
key.
taught us how to clean them really well because Charles would not eat them at first. But then when I said, okay, they're really cleaned well, and he saw me cleaning and cleaning and cleaning all day practically, and then he was okay with it.
Cool. That sounds good. Any other favorite traditional meals? that
I
you
know,
like
at
to
least
serve?
with my family, my mom makes a great, she's from Indiana, moved to Michigan. That's where I was born before we moved to Tennessee when I was in kindergarten. So Nashville's my home. But she makes a great northeastern stuffing with oysters inside of it. So every single Thanksgiving and Christmas, she makes that. And there's another thing that I've kind of dubbed pink fluff, but we kind of really named it poinsettia pudding. It's just a mixture of like whipped cream, Jello, cranberries, and it's just a, I mean, I loved it as a kid. I still love it now as an adult. Even like this past Thanksgiving, there was like, you know, that was just for the kids. No one's gonna eat that. And you're like, are you kidding me? I was like, and still today, I think we have a little bit of leftovers.
wow.
But yeah, so
That
poinsettia
sounds
pudding
delish.
/ pink fluff, and then the oyster dressing. So
I love the different kinds of combinations of meals, you know, trying to do something different. And it's really interesting now, and you probably are feeling this too, Leland, as our kids get older, we can do things a little bit differently than we used to do. So I don't always have to bake Santa's cookies anymore, but Avery can now bake the dish because he's old enough to do the dessert, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder, as your kids get older, if you find yourself tweaking the traditions ever so slightly, because now they're almost going into teenager and adulthood instead of little.
Yeah, one's 21, so and then Avery and Taylor were
both
born
the same day.
I
remember,
At the hospital, the
I think the
exact
same day, right?
Yeah.
They 27?
28, so
Okay,
day apart.
day apart. Okay.
So we're tweaking things a little bit there as they get a little older. We still, though, make both of them do a Santa's list. And so I told them when I was a kid, I always believed, because I wanted something under the tree on Christmas morning, and so you never
Gotta
stop
ask.
believing. And so in order to get it, you got to make a list. So they still make a list, and we tell them make a list of 5 things, and then we will put what you want the most at the top of that
Okay.
list.
Ah,
Because if
I
you
like
don't
that.
get all 5 things, then we've got the most important thing at the top. So
Right.
we tweak that from a little bit on the food setting. They still want to do what they've grown up with in the last few years, and the last decade or so, Yolanda's mom and dad have done a Christmas cookout. And so
Love that.
I do too.
hamburgers, hot dogs, rib, baked beans. So that has been the setting at Christmas the last few years. But there's always got to be some of Yolanda's mama's potato salad and deviled eggs.
Ooh, deviled eggs. I
yes.
love. My mom makes me
Scrumptious.
mean deviled eggs. I love them.
Scrumptious. That sounds scrumptious. You know, as you think about, getting together with family, does it come to mind that, you've always got to travel to get there? These days, I've not lived in my hometown for many, many years, so you all here at Channel 5 are my family away from home. But does it always have to be, traveling to get to family these days, because you just are not connected in the same communities like you used to be back in the day? I know you've moved home, your family is here,
Yeah.
but others, I wonder, how close is it for you to make those connections, and how easy or difficult is it to bring
It's
everybody
the same
together?
for me. I always call it my annual tour of Tennessee. My wife is from East Tennessee. I grew up in West Tennessee, and so we've got to make the trip. Her family is about 30-40 minutes on the other side of Knoxville. So we've
Not
got
too
to make
bad.
that trip there and then come back and then make the trip to my family in Dyersburg, which is about 2.5 hours away. But no, every year we still have to get that family trip in and that tour
Yeah.
of Tennessee in, because that's where all of the other family is at. There's no immediate family here in Middle Tennessee.
Right.
Yolanda's got a brother here, but he's often spending time with his family and her family up in Indiana.
Right.
Right.
What about you? You're not that
Well,
far away, Kentucky, but still,
exactly.
you've got to travel to get to other relatives.
There's 7 of us. I have 6 siblings. None of us, I have one brother who lives in Nashville, but everybody else lives all around the country, from California over to North Carolina. So there's the core 4 of
Yes.
us who are the closest, who typically will make a plan to come to. Since my mom passed last year, we would always used to meet at her house. But this year we've decided we're going to meet at my sister's house in Bowling Green.
Okay.
So we'll all do that.
kinda- yeah.
My sister who lives in Illinois, and then my sister in Bowling Green, and my brother and I will go to Bowling Green, which is a little bit more central for her to come from Illinois.
right.
And so that's what we'll do this year. But on Christmas Day, we'll go to my in-laws in Brownsville,
Gotcha.
Tennessee.
You got to always split that
Gotta
time.
split up that time with the
Gotta
in-laws.
split that time.
Yes.
And you have a lot of folks probably still in Michigan, but
Yes.
several people here.
Yeah, my immediate family is here, and my closest cousin is now in Atlanta, so that's a quick trip. Either he can come to Nashville, which he has with his fiance and their children, but the family's here, and so people know to come to Tennessee if they want to see us. Especially with my schedule, they know well, Jonko's probably not going to get off, so there's no traveling across country
to
for me,
you.
right? So they come to us.
Yeah, back in the day when I was a reporter, I remember those trying times. You just have to be here in town, and so you couldn't get to family. Now it's a little bit more flexible since
Yeah.
I've got a different sort of a schedule. But still, no one is in this area for us either. And I just remember when my kids were younger, my parents always wanted us to come there. As they get older, it's hard for them to travel here, right? And I always had to kind of juggle it in a way, because that was when the kids believed, right? So I had to juggle in a way. Well, how is he going to find us if we're all the way in Maryland? I don't understand. And then do all this shipping, and he can find you anywhere. And then kind of play it up at home a little bit, but also make sure that we spent that time with family for the holidays.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting how we make things work, no matter what. It's all about family first.
It is, yes.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, talk about a lot more of the holiday celebrations that you have in the mix. I know you've got to get going on a couple of other things, so Leland may leave us, but both of you all will stick around.
Yeah,
you got
We'll do
me.
a little more eating and a little more celebrating for the holidays. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
I'll take something.